Welcome to Birds Huddle, powered by PointsBet. You know him. He is Barrett Brooks, and I am Taryn Hatcher. And our countdown of the top 25 Eagles heading into camp continues in just a bit. But first, we're kicking things off with the three-point stance presented by your Mercedes, which means we're getting Barrett's take on the three items du jour, if you will. So let's hop right to it. Howie Roseman has brought in two young impact players on both sides of the ball, in receiver A.J. Brown and edge rusher Hassan Reddick. Draft picks Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, they're also expected to contribute immediately. On paper, this roster, safe to say, is stacked. In fact, Pro Football Focus ranked the Eagles as the seventh best roster in the NFL. The Bucs, Rams, and Packers are the only NFC teams ahead of them. Barrett, could this be the Eagles' best roster since that team that won the Lombardi Trophy 5 seasons ago?
I mean, it can be, and just starting off, this may be the best offensive line in the NFL. In fact, you look at that Super Bowl winning team, this is a better offensive line than they were. Look, you have Jordan Mailata at 6'8", 380 pounds. You got a sidekick, Landon Dickerson. He's 6'6", 360 pounds, 350 pounds. And they both move.
700 pounds of friendship, as they say. Wild to think about. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's amazing, though. Just run off the left side. That's all you have to do. Then you have a perennial Pro Bowler and Lane Johnson on the other side. And at the best center to play the game right now in Jason Kelsey. I mean, they have definitely gotten a lot better since that Super Bowl team at the offensive line. And by the way, Seumalo started on that line. They won the Super Bowl. Now he's on the right side. So, yes, I like what they've done there. The wide receiver position. A.J. Brown, paired with a #1 draft choice from Alabama, an SEC school, and Devontae Smith. They're going and getting the needed talent and filling that wide receiver room up. Now we have speed. We have guys to take the top off. We have possession receivers. We have everything. We just need Jalen Hurts to step up. But, on the offensive side of the ball, they are ready to rock and roll. The defense, they're pretty good, too. So, I mean, defensively, they've upgraded at the linebacker position. I'll say it again, the linebacker position.
So you would say there's at least two areas offensively, and at least the one, we know the linebackers, we talk a lot about them on this show, where they are in fact better than that Super Bowl team was.
No question. I mean, above and beyond, we went out and got Kasir White. I mean, this guy is a functional ramjet. He can cover wide receivers out on the slot. You can put him in the middle. He can come downhill, hit you in the mouth. He can cover running backs, tight ends. I like his game. He's got a lot to prove here in Philadelphia. This is where he can build his name up. I mean, he's trying to make some money, man. So he's going out there, a one-year deal. He's trying to prove himself. The defensive line is unbelievable also. I like the fact that this team went out there and solidified different positions. This might be the best cornerback tandem in the NFL. I've been saying that a lot because there's a lot of best on this team, but I'm just looking at it. You got Big Play Say on one side, Bradbury on the other side. Bradbury was the #1 cornerback in free agency 2 years ago. He went to the Giants. It was a dumpster fire. Got out of there. We pillaged him from our division rival. Now he's here. This tandem's going to be great. And then Avonte Mathis in the slot position. This team is going to be ready to rock and roll.
Okay, so we talked about the positives. Unfortunately, we might have to talk about a weak link here. Moving on to your second stance, we've had the good fortune of watching amazing safeties here in Philadelphia. Brian Dawkins, Hall of Famer. Malcolm Jenkins made 3 Pro Bowls, had that hit on Brandon Cooks in the Super Bowl, which we know kind of set the tone for that game. There are not exactly any big names among the safeties to that caliber on this current Eagles roster. With that in mind, are you comfortable saying the safety position probably the weakest link on this roster?
Well, I wouldn't say the weakest link. I would say that they are the most unproven link. I mean, Harris is pretty good, but I think you're going to see a player in Marcus Epps that's really turned the corner and is now ready to take his active role of being a starter on this team. I mean, his functional mobility is great. He can run around and he can do everything you want to do. He can play in the box. He can play deep. They asked him to come in on big nickel situations, and that's where he flourished because he got those necessary reps of playing a lot during last season. Now he's ready to take that next step and become a safety that I would say right now is probably on the same line with Harris or maybe even a little bit above Harris. Now, Harris might hear that and be mad. I'm like, good. So now he can go around and prove that he is the better one. It's only, competition. Iron sharpens iron. We need that to help the competition. So I like which way they're going with it, and those two can play. And Epps is going to press everybody in being a starter on this team.
So let's dive a little bit deeper on who the Eagles do have. You mentioned the big names there. The Birds add Jaquiski Tartt to compete for a starting role. They committed to Anthony Harris over Rodney McLeod, who is now at the Colts. They've got Marcus Epps, who's looking to build on an impressive campaign last season, and he was in a limited role last season. Who needs to step up the most? You've talked about the positives and the negatives of each of them, but if the safety group is going to go from being kind of the question mark position group to being a solidified one, who needs to step up the most?
I'm going to say Tartt. Tartt comes in and he's going to be that linebacker-esque type of guy. He's a bigger kid. I mean, he's 6'3", right around 220 pounds. He's got to be that thumper. You can't run through the middle without looking for him, keeping your head on a swivel. That's what I see Tartt being. He can go down. He can cover running backs out of the backfield. He can cover tight ends out of the tight end position. Maybe even go out and cover on a extended running back, So he'll be that type of guy. I need him to be in that box and be that enforcer on the team. Don't come through. I mean, give him the Mutombo. No, don't come in my area. That's what you want Tartt to be. And when they run big nickel, and big nickel is one of my favorite defensive back sets because you have 3 safeties in the game. You got 2 guys that are covered, can be deep, or be in a box, but then you have that one guy that specializes. If it's a run play, he can come downhill and stop it, hitting you in the backfield. He can blitz, and that's what I see Tartt as being. So this team will be well balanced at that, and I'm surprised they were able to get him. I mean, they pulled him away from the 49ers. I was surprised that they made that move. It's just one of those things with Howie Roseman doing Howie things and got a really good safety to come in and help this team. And he's on a prove-it deal just like everybody else. He wants to prove that he belongs in this system.
I hope you get to see all the big nickel that you're hoping for here.
No question.
We talk about it almost as much as we talk about the linebacker group right now. All right, on to your third and final stance. Interesting things happening up in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield does not appear to be in the plans for the Browns. Even if Deshaun Watson is suspended for the season, the Browns signed Jacoby Brissett as a backup after leading the Browns to an 11-5 record and a playoff win in 2020. Mayfield's numbers, they dropped off big time, to be quite frank, last season. The touchdowns were way down, the interceptions way up. The Browns went 6-8 in his 14 starts. Barrett Mayfield is in limbo, kind of just waiting for a trade. He's still just 27 years old. Do you think he could be the kind of quarterback who can lead a team toward the playoffs going forward? Does he fit anywhere for a team that could make the postseason?
I do. I think that it's almost a foregone conclusion that he might be with the Panthers. They want a quarterback. They need a quarterback. What they've been doing doesn't work, but I still think this kid has a lot of promise, a lot of talent. He's a guy that, you have to account for him as not just a passer, but also as a runner. He gives them a lot as far as being a versatile guy at the quarterback position. That's a weapon that you have to go out there and, make sure that you account for him in the number count. A lot of the times, you have a quarterback, he's not in the number count. He's just a passer. Well, hey, he can go out there and make, some hay with being a runner also. So they might have to spy him. So he could bring some more versatility to that offense that, the Panthers haven't had. They want to run the ball, but Baker Mayfield's good enough to pass it. He was the number 1 pick in the draft he came out in. But he can also go out there and make some things happen with his arm and with his legs. So, yes, he still has enough to go out there and maybe potentially with the right team make it to the playoffs. But I think he's almost it's almost certain that he'll be with the Panthers because they have the most that they can give this Cleveland Browns team. But you can't take Seattle out of that mix also. Seattle's also looking for a quarterback up there.
Well, it's interesting. Cleveland says sayonara to yet another QB. Happens all too frequently.